Hey, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio, back in the studio, and today I'm going to be using a stereo 15-band graphic equalizer from Radio Shack that I found. And it's a cool rack mount Radio Shack equalizer. These things have a catalog number and not exactly a model number, but I'll put screenshots of the catalog number of this thing. But it's a pretty cool EQ. It has a low cut switch and of course 15-band graphic equalizer. And I bought it specifically to use in the detector loop of some of my hardware compressors so I can fine-tune the compression by having an EQ in the sidechain. So I'm going to run the Radio Shack 15-band EQ in the detector loop of the ART TCS twin compressor system on the VCA mix preset on the master bus of my Soundcraft Sapphire console. I've put together an entire out-of-the-box mix for this demonstration. I'm not going to go into all the details of the mix, but everything is being summed through the console, or mixed is really how I like to think of it, since I'm dealing with individual tracks and not stems or groups of things. So we have a fully analog mix with the ART TCS twin compressor system on the master bus inserts of the console, and we have the Radio Shack 15-band stereo graphic equalizer on the detector loop of the TCS. So here is the Radio Shack EQ. I'm sure it would work well for other things, but I bought this to use in the detector loop of some of my hardware compressors, and I think it will work really well for that. It has an in-out switch, a low cut, you've got a level control here, and you've got 15 EQ bands starting with 25, 40, 63, 100, 160, 250, 400, 630 hertz, 1 kilohertz, 1.6 kilohertz, 2.5 kilohertz, 4 kilohertz, 6.3 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz, and 16 kilohertz. So you've got 2 channels of that. Pretty awesome. This is not the EQ of Internet Legend. That would have been a half size with Silverface, and those had inductors in the EQ circuit, and that was heavily discussed on the internet. This is not one of those legendary Radio Shack EQs that people talked about online so much. However, this is a rack mountable, very nice quality Radio Shack EQ. It even has XLR outputs on the back. This EQ is catalog number. Since it doesn't have a model number, it's kind of odd, but the catalog number is really small, but it appears to be 32-2059. So that's what this EQ is, a Radio Shack catalog number 32-2059. This thing has RCA and quarter-inch inputs. It has a record output on RCA jacks here, and then outputs on RCA, quarter-inch, and male XLR. It's got a ground lift switch and another ground connection over here, plus the fuse holder. So really nice quality little rack EQ from Radio Shack. I have no idea when this was made, so if anyone knows, please leave a comment, because I don't know when this was made, but this would have been used, my guess, is in an installation or PA system, something like that. It's definitely a really cool EQ. I never knew that Radio Shack made anything that was rack mountable that had some decent connectivity on the back of it. So when I saw this, I scooped it up to use in the detector loop of some of my hardware compressors, and I think it's going to work great for that. It would probably work really well as regular EQ, and I may try that in the future, especially if this video gets a lot of views and comments. Then I will try this EQ out as something other than a detector loop sculpting tool. So this bottom TCS unit is the one that I'm using on the master bus. I have it set to the VCA side for mix, which is one of the V3 voicing presets. And you can see I have the release set fairly fast, the attack medium, and the ratio 1.7 to 1. So not quite 2 to 1. And it is stereo linked. the detector loop with this side of the EQ is right here to switch the detector loop on and off. And then here's the bypass button. There's the tube circuit. We're not going to use that. The way I have this set up is I have the low cut on, and then I have the 25, 40 hertz, 63 hertz, and 100 hertz turned almost all the way down. So it's almost the same as a high pass filter at 100 hertz. I'm kind of approximating that, and it does seem to work pretty well. This side I'm not using right now for this, just this one. So let me play some of this mix that I've put up here. This is an all analog mix coming out of the digital audio interface through the console, and then of course this compressor is on the master bus. When you bypass the bus compressor entirely, you get a little less cohesive of a mix. So the compression's adding a little bit of that glue that things like the SSL bus compressor are so famous for. When you bypass this EQ in the detector loop, it seems to really take away a lot of the punch from the mix. And when you engage the EQ in the detector loop, then you get all the punch back, but you still have that nice glue like you expect from a good bus compressor. I think this setup works really, really well. This Radio Shack EQ was not expensive, but it works perfectly for this use. You can see I've also cut out some of the high end up here. I've cut out 6K and above because, I don't know, I don't want that triggering the compressor either, making it sound trashy up there. Having any kind of a fast release like I've got going on this compressor on cymbals is going to be too noticeable for me. So I just pulled those higher frequencies down as well as these lower frequencies. So we're concentrating on the mids and low mids mostly, and mostly that is what the compression circuit, the detector circuit on the ART's TCS is seeing. I had a lot of other things going on in the mix I used for this bus compression demonstration today, so if you'd like to see more details about the song that was featured in this bus compression video, leave a comment below. The ART TCS twin compressor system works really well on the V3 Mix VCA preset, but it works even better with an EQ in the detector loop of the compressor. You can really fine-tune how much of what frequency you want hitting the compressor detector circuit. This is a great way to tweak your bus compression if you're working here in the analog domain like me, or even in your DAW. In the future, I'm going to try the same thing again with the RNC compressor and see what we get using an RNC on the mixed bus with an EQ in the detector loop of the RNC. So check back on the channel for that, as well as liking this video and subscribing here to the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel if you have not done so already. I hope each and everyone out there has an excellent and wonderful day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond. Whatever it is you're having, have a good one. Thanks so much for watching.